Hello everyone, welcome to the Business Education Centre, where we teach retailers how to increase their sales, reduce their shrinkage and increase their profit. In this webinar, Romeo Richards is going to show you how to increase your profit margin through shrinkage reduction. Romeo is the author of 23 books, including best-selling books, How to Increase Retail Sales, Store Design Blueprint, Visual Merchandise Display, and How to Increase Profit in Retail. He is also the creator of 11 home study courses, including How to Increase Retail Sales Home Study Course, Retail Store Design Blueprint Home Study Course, Visual Merchandising Display Home Study Course, How to Influence Shoppers' Buying Behavior Home Study Course, and Shoplifting Retail Loss Prevention Home Study Course. Romeo has been associated with the retail industry for a number of years, both as an employee and as a consultant and trainer. He has worked with Tesco, Marks & Spencer and Brantano. He has consulted and trained a number of big retailers in the UK, the US and the Middle East. Romeo is the guy big retail consulting firms sneak in through the back door in the middle of the night when they want to resuscitate dying retailers. Ladies and gentlemen, Romeo Richards.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the How to Prevent Shoplifting webinar. In this webinar, my goal is to show you how to make your store a shoplifting-free zone. Yeah, I am aware of the fact that that is a really big statement to make. It's a really bold statement to make because, yeah, shoplifting can never be eliminated. That I agree with. It is difficult to eliminate shoplifting. However, my goal in this program is not to show you how to eliminate shoplifting. My goal in this program is to show you how to remove shoplifting from your store and send them to your competitors. That is the goal. So shoplifting cannot be eliminated, but you can shift the problem from your store to your competitor. At the end of the program, you will understand why I said that, why I said it's possible for you to shift shoplifting from your store to another store. Now, why should you listen to what I'm about to share with you today? Why is it important that you kind of listen carefully to the kind of things I'm about to share with you today? Well, the reason for that is this. You see, at present, shoplifting represents about 43% of your retail shrinkage. Yeah, I must repeat that point. Shoplifting accounts for almost half of your current shrinkage margin in your store. So let's say, for example, if your current shrinkage level is £100,000, now 43,000 pounds of that is caused by shoplifting. Therefore, by reducing your shoplifting in your store, you can reduce your shrinkage level by a considerable amount. Now, if you implement the things I'm about to share with you today, even if you implemented just 20% of what I'm about to share with you today, you can reduce your shoplifting by as much as 84%. Yes, I want to repeat that. If you implement just about 20% of the things I'm about to share with you today, you can't reduce your shoplifting problem by as much as 84%. So what does that represent in real figure for you, in real cash for you? Like I said, hypothetically, if right now your shrinkage margin is £100,000, now if you take out 43,000 pounds of that for shoplifting, If you reduce your shoplifting by 84%, it means that you have kind of reduced you've kind of reduced your shoplifting margin by, or you've increased your profit margin by at least £36,000. Okay, let's say realistically you use 20% of that amount to implement the strategies that I'm about to share with you now. You are still left with £28,000 that you are currently leaving on the table. So if for no other reason, the reason why it's important that you listen to what I'm about to share with you today is that you can add an additional £28,000 to your profit. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, well, my shrinkage margin, my shrinkage level is not 100,000. Yes, I get that, because most of you on this webinar today, you're small retailers, so you probably might not even have up to £100,000 worth of stock in your store. I get that. Yeah, but if you manage to reduce your shrinkage margin by 84%, that will increase your profit. Whatever that profit means for you, it will increase your profit margin. This is why it's important that you listen to what I'm about to share with you today. The second reason why it's important that you here listen to what I'm about to share with you today is this. These days, shoplifting is not carried out by the homeless or drug addicts as it was years ago. Years ago, shoplifting was carried out by people who were drug addicts who were trying to feed their habits, or by homeless, or by just hungry people, desperate people trying to make a living. These days, shoplifting is carried out by organized retail crime gangs. And these guys, they are well organized, they are professional. They carry on their activities with a level of professionalism that has never been seen in the industry. In fact, a BBC documentary a few years ago said that organized retail crime gangs are capable of stealing as much as £7,500 worth of merchandise from a retail store in 4 minutes. That is like $11,000 worth of merchandise from a retail store in 11 minutes. And they are capable of stealing about £100,000 worth of merchandise from a retail store in a day. Now, as I said, for you guys on this program who might not have that level of shrinkage, that level of stock, you might think to yourself, you might be tempted to want to dismiss the information I'm giving you now, because you think to yourself, this is for only big retailers. But I can assure you, by implementing the things I'm about to share with you today, you can, even if you increase your profit margin by 1%, just think what 1 or 2% profit margin, additional profit margin, represent for you in your business. A third reason, which is like another third reason that is important, that is ignored by so many retailers, is the fact that is the issue of missed opportunity. Now, what is the correlation between shoplifting or employee theft and or any kind of shrinkage and missed opportunity? Now, in another program, in another webinar on loss prevention, I actually went into detail trying to expand on the connection between shrinkage or loss prevention and increased sales or increased profit. But I'll just briefly explain this point in this webinar, and that is this. When someone comes into your store to buy, if the goods are unavailable, if the merchandise are not on the shop floor, on the shelf, you've lost that sale. In majority of the cases, when people come to your store and they do not find what they are looking for, they do not go to the shop assistant to ask whether you've got the product, except in extreme circumstances where the person doesn't want to waste time, or they're looking for essential product, and when they don't have it, then they will go to ask questions. But in most cases, if they came to your store and you not find what they're looking for, they will just assume that you do not have it in stock and they just leave the store. So when shoplifters steal stuff from your store and they are not replenished on time, it results in missed opportunity for you. This is why it's important that you pay attention, because shoplifting is not just about, again, it's not just the fact that they're stealing, but it's also causing you a customer service problem. It's causing you missed sales that you're supposed to have. Now, why does shoplifting take place? Why does shoplifting take place in retail stores? In most instances, shoplifting occurred in retail store because it is allowed to happen. Again, I know this is like a really bold statement to make, to suggest that shoplifting occurred because retailers allow it to happen. But you see, shoplifting is a crime of opportunity. When you remove the opportunity, you remove the possibility. Let me just repeat this point again. Shoplifting is a crime of opportunity. When you remove the opportunity, you remove the possibilities. What do I mean by that? Just to expand upon this point, I will tell you a story. So then probably that will put this concept into context. A few years ago, I used to work as a store detective with Marks and Spencer's. Marks and Spencer's is one of the biggest retailers in the UK. In fact, it's the biggest clothing retailer in the UK. And as a store detective, I used to go into different stores just to ensure that I'm not recognized by shoplifters in a store, in a particular store. So on a specific day, I went to a store in a place called London, in a place called Kimberley. Now, when I entered the store, because I was a store detective, we're always dressed in plain clothes. We're not security officers, but we're not dressed in security uniform. So while we were stood at the entrance, while I was being briefed by the officer who was supposed to take over from me, who I was supposed to take over from, a couple walked into the store and they headed for the coat section. And the female tried on one of the coats, and just once she put on the coat, they just walk out of the store just by us, and walk out and just jump into a getaway car, and they just speed away. Before we knew what was happening, it was too late. It was like a 900 pounds coat. Now, I stood there thinking to myself, holy cow, this is like broad daylight. How could someone just walk into a store in broad daylight, collect a coat, and walk out? Well, the reason they were able to do it easily was because the coat was displayed very, very close to the entrance. Again, this was a 900 pounds coat displayed as close as possible to the entrance. Again, in one of the other stores in Kimberley, in London Coney, Marks and Spencer shared the same toilet facilities with Sainsbury's. Sainsbury's is another big retailer in the UK. So what used to happen was this. shoplifters will steal from Marks and Spencer's and pretend as if they were going to the toilet, and they will pass through Sainsbury's and escape. They will do the same to Sainsbury's. They will steal from Sainsbury's and then pretend as if they were going to the toilet and pass through Marks and Spencer and escape. Once in a while, we got lucky. The really dumb ones will steal from Sainsbury's, and then while walking through Marks and Spencer's, attempt to steal, and then we catch them, and we know that, okay, they've stolen from Sainsbury's, and vice versa. Sometimes they steal from us, and while going through Sainsbury's, they try to steal something again, and then they get caught. So why did I bring this point out? It's because you've got two big retailers that had the ability to kind of build toilets in their own stores. They decided to share the toilet, which made it almost like easy for shoplifters to steal from one store to the next. Another situation we had when I was in Marks and Spencer was the situation of the Sunday opening hours. You know, in the UK, the Sunday opening hours for now, they're about to change it. It was from, where is now still from 11 o'clock till 5 o'clock. But what happens was, at 10:30, the doors open. Marks and Spencer allow customers to come in to browse, so that by 11 o'clock, when they still opens, they will just, some of them will just pay for their stuff and leave. So what shoplifters used to do, they would come in at that time too, because they knew that at that time we had not started work. Security officers started to work at 11 o'clock. So you had a situation where the store was open at 10:30, and customers were already in the store browsing, and then we as officers started work at 11 o'clock. So you had like a 30-minute window in which shoplifters operated freely. And I've had situations where I've been assigned in a lot of stores when I was the only security personnel in that store. And consider the fact, as I said, that I was in plain clothes. So most of the time people do not even know that I'm a security personnel. Therefore, I do not serve as a deterrent to them. And there are times probably in like this, I'm talking about like massive stores, like 30,000 feet stores, where the stores are packed in the middle of nowhere, and you've got only one security officer in the store. Imagine what used to happen. So why have I told you these stories? The reason for this, as I said from the onset, that shoplifting is a crime of opportunity. When you remove the opportunity, you remove the possibilities. Now, there are three things that I want you to pay attention to that has to do with the stories I've told you. The first thing is, you've had a situation of the virtual merchandising display. Now, because the coat was displayed as close as possible to the entrance, it was easy for this couple to walk into the store, remove the coat, just try the coat on, and easily walk out of the store. And then the second story with the situation in London Coney, where you had the toilet, the two retailers sharing the same toilet facilities, and allowing shoplifters to steal from one store and walk through to the next. That was a case of faulty store design. This, as I said, they are very big retailers. Both of them could afford to have toilet facilities inside their respective stores. Yet, the store designers, because they were not security officers, they were not security personnel, they knew nothing about the security aspect of store design. They just focused on what they felt was convenient, what was easy. And then the third part had to do with policies and procedures. Imagine we open the stores at 10:30 on Sunday to allow customers to browse, and then we as security personnel started work at 11 o'clock. And the law in the UK for us security personnel, you cannot arrest someone if you have not seen them take the product physically. So if I saw someone walking out of Marks and Spencer with a basket full of clothes, as long as I did not see them collect the clothes from the store, and I did not see them walk out without paying, I do not have the power to arrest them. And as I said before, from the beginning, most of the guys who are involved in shoplifting these days, they are professional shoplifters. They are the people who they've been in trouble with the law so many times. They know the law. So they know that we had no power to stop them. So they knew when they come into the store, they study the movement of security, they know when security in the store, they know when security is not there, and that's the time they come to steal from the store. So what am I saying now? What I'm saying is this, that when it comes to shoplifting prevention, as I've stated before, the first thing that you as a retailer need to focus on is this, is that, again, as I said, shoplifting is a crime of opportunity. So if you remove the opportunity, you remove the possibilities. So how do you remove the opportunity? You first of all ensure that when you design your store, you do not create a situation where shoplifters can easily remove your product from the store. You remove blind spots. When you put in security cameras, you put in CCTV, you make sure that they are well positioned in the store. That is the first thing. And then when you display your product, you do not display your product in such a way that it becomes easy for it to be removed from your shop floor. Because if you display a 900-pound coat at the entrance of a retail store, you like taunting the gods. You make it easy for it to be removed from the store. It does not matter how many security you have at that entrance, it can easily be removed. I remember that there is a store, that was a store that I used to go to, that this guy would have like 200 pounds coats right at the entrance. And I kept telling the manager, look, even at that time, Josh Tennant was the CIA director. So I would joke with him, I say, even Josh Tennant cannot protect these coats that you hang at the entrance. You're just leaving it at the mercy of shoplifters. And exactly as I said, what will happen is that people, shoplifters will rush into the store. They have their cars waiting, and they just bundle a whole lot of them and just jump into their car and run away. So what I'm saying is this. In order to ensure that you protect your store, to reduce shoplifting from your store, so focus on your store design and your visual merchandising display. And the next thing is the policies and procedures. I've said that we open at 10 o'clock, we open at 11 o'clock, they open the store at 10 o'clock, 10:30 to allow shoppers to browse. But yeah, we started work at 11 o'clock. Now, someone in the head office felt that it was cheaper. It would have cost them probably £4 or £5 to get security officer there for that 30 minutes. They felt like it was cheaper to save that £5 or £10 and leave the store at the mercy of shoplifters than to allow us to be there. So the point I'm making is, in order for you to prevent shoplifting from your store, you need to focus on what kind of store design you have, how your merchandise are displayed, and then focus on the policies and procedures that make it easy for shoplifters to operate in your store. Now, what are the hotspots? What are the products that are very attractive to shoplifters? Most of the times, the products that are very attractive to shoplifters are things like razor blade, things like DVDs, like uh, razor blade, and CDs, painkillers, batteries. These are things that they're very expensive, and therefore, because they're very tiny, they can be easily removed from the store. So if you are if you have this product in your store, if you sell any of them, you need to ensure that you put them in protective areas in the store. Either put them in protective glass to make sure that they don't have access to it, or put them at the close to the till so that staff could keep their eyes on them. Now, and then the most targeted departments are like health and beauty, meat department. So when you understand this department to say, okay, your meat department, your health and beauty department, you need to ensure that these departments are well protected. Your baby product, your cigarette, your beer, your wine and spirit, these are the departments that are mostly targeted in the retail store. And you need to ensure that those departments, the products in those departments are well protected. Another thing is shoplifting, like most things in life, is a habit. Shoplifters steal at a particular time of the day. Most of the times, at a certain time, shoplifting peaks, and a certain time it goes down. So if you understand the times that shoplifting take place in your store, at those times you ensure that you have more security. Now, between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. is when shoplifting is at its highest, because most of the time it's lunchtime. People have gone back to work and the show is quiet, and so they can steal easily. So make sure at those times you have enough staff member and you have good security system in your store at the time. Also between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m., or that is also a peak hour, and between noon and 3 p.m. So focus when you know between 6 p.m., between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m., you have 38% peak in shoplifting. And between noon and 3 p.m., you got 29%. And between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m., you got 26%. So within those times, you ensure that you have more security in certain areas of your store. In the stores that you've got 24-hour stores, most of the times they will come early in the morning, because they know at that time, even when you have security officers at that point, they are already tired. They are not very vigilant. So it's important that you know these times that shoplifting take place in your store, and you are prepared at those times with adequate security. Now, what are the most effective shoplifting technology? Most retail loss prevention technology, like most technology, they're absolute within probably 2 years or 3 years at most. 6 months, in a year's time, they've come up with new technology. So the technology keeps evolving from one year to the next. But there are certain technologies that are constant, like CCTV. CCTV now, it has been integrated into so many parts of the retail life, the retail operations. So CCTV will remain constant, will remain one of the best retail loss prevention technology or shoplifting prevention technology. If it is used well, it can prevent a lot. It can prevent shoplifting by a high percentage. and you've got security mirror. Security mirror, again, if it's well positioned in a store, that again can prevent shoplifting. And then another one is tags. You have security tags. If you have, most of the security tags are even more sophisticated now. Before, shoplifters could easily remove the tags, but now the tags have become sophisticated. Sometimes if they try to remove the tags, the tag will destroy the product, or sometimes it's almost impossible because some tags are so small they don't even know where the tags are, so they cannot remove them. So if you just focus on those three types of technology, CCTV, security mirror, and tags, you will be in good shape. But one thing I need to say about technology is only effective if it removes a constraint. The technology on itself is not effective. It has to work in tandem with your policies and procedures. If you have a good technology, if you, for example, you have CCTV, the most sophisticated CCTV. However, if the CCTV is not monitored, then the technology is a waste. When you have CCTV, it has to be monitored. There are a lot of times when I go to see retailers, I go to consult retailers, and they would show me this sophisticated technology, but then there's no one monitoring it. Or when they get the data, there is no one there capable of interpreting the data. So you don't just have technology for the sake of saying, I've got a new gadget. You first of all make sure that it is in tandem with your policies and procedures. Two, you make sure that the people operating the technology are trained enough to know how to utilize it to the maximum. Because sometimes we do not even utilize technology, we do not even utilize up to 10% of the potential of technology. Just imagine that some of us have phones that we do not, even though we buy smartphones, expensive phones, all we do is just use the phones for calling. Yet we buy these expensive phones. So again, if you have your technology, you need to ensure that the technology is well utilized and that it is in tandem with your policies and procedures. So what have we learned? What I've said is that shoplifting is a crime of opportunity. When you remove the opportunity, you will remove the possibilities. Therefore, when you want to reduce shoplifting from your store, you first of all need to look what are the opportunities. It's like this stuff of the broken glass. I think a lot of you have heard of the broken glass theory, where if a glass is broken and it's not taken care of, then people continue to rampage that place because for them is that no one cares. So it's the same thing. If you do not do things, if you do not remove the opportunity from your store, shoplifters will easily come into your store and steal. Now, what are the opportunities? Opportunities we'll talk about is your store design. You need to ensure that your store design is good enough to tout shoplifters. Your store design should not facilitate shoplifting. You need to ensure that when you display your product on the shop floor, it is not displayed in such a way that it can be easily removed from the store. And finally, you got to focus on your policies and procedures. The kind of policies and procedures you have has to make it difficult for shoplifting to occur in your place. Don't create policies and procedures that make it easy for shoplifting to take place. So focus on your store design, focus on your visual merchandising display, and focus on your policies and procedures, and I can guarantee you can reduce your shoplifting by as much as 84%. Now, As I said in the promotion of this program, my goal in this program is not to sell to you. I'm not doing this program because I want to sell to you. Yeah, I'm not doing it for free. I'm not doing it simply because I'm bored. I want to do something. But my goal is to provide you with valuable information just for you to help yourself, to help you reduce shoplifting from your store. So if any of you think that you found this information valuable and you wanted us to help you with shoplifting in your store or with any type of loss prevention issue or shrinkage problem in your store, all you need to do is just to give us a call, or you just send us an email. It's info@theprofitexperts.co.uk. So again, the email address is info@theprofitexpert.co.uk, or you can go to www.romeoreaches.com. So it's www.romeoreaches.com, and you'll find more information about shoplifting, about retail loss prevention, about how to increase retail sales. We have a lot of blogs, we have a lot of free resources on this site that you can use, whether it has to do with store design, it has to do with visual merchandising display. We have a lot of different material that you can use to help you with your retail business. So again, the email address is info@the profitexperts.co.uk, or you can call on for international 0044 020 87980579. So it's 4402087980579. Thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to serving you in the future. Bye.